Welcome back to the Smokin Layups podcast. I'm your host, Joey O, here with my co-host, Jack.
Good to be here.
What's up, everybody? This is checking in on Friday, October 21st. We're going to overreact to some of the first 3 days of games and break down the upcoming weekend through Monday for national TV games. All right. Well, let's kick her off with some overreactions from the first 3 sets of games. Would you like to start us off here, Jack?
Yeah, I'll give one, I guess, quick overreaction, and to me, it's that the Nets might not be as good as everybody thinks they are. Um, that was a weird first game. They got blown out, but I think the Pelicans are going to be great. They probably have a little bit deeper of a lineup. Um, but I still believe in what the Nets can do. Ben Simmons has to step up. He kind of had a bad game the first game, but I think he will. I think they'll find their footing. Kyrie didn't shoot all too well, um, so when they get Seth Curry back too, that'll be helpful. But so that's my overreaction. Is the Nets are not bad. I think they're still going to be pretty good.
Nice. My overreaction is pretty drastic. It's got to be that James Harden is back to being a top 5 player and is now the best player on his team because Embiid just not it right now. And if James Harden is this healthy and looks this fast and is this creative and he's got all these dudes around him, he's more important to that team than Embiid is. I know that might be a hot take, but I like the first 2 games. Embiid didn't really dominate either one of them. Harden dropped 30 in both games. He had 16 in the fourth against the Bucks and absolutely put the team on his back and almost dragged them to victory while Embiid shot 6 for 21 from the floor. I'm not sure what it is. Embiid might have to play himself into shape or something, but it's rare that Harden comes off firing like this early in the season. The league better watch out.
Well, I mean, I think it kind of goes back to for the past few seasons, it seems like everybody's been calling out James Harden, saying he's out of shape, he's sort of selfish, this, that, or the other. And I've been sort of anticipating him getting and giving a bounce back season, and he hasn't. So it seems like he finally is fed up. I know against the Celtics, the first game, the reporter pregame was talking about how focused he was and how James Harden said, he's a little irked that everybody's been talking down on him. So I guess he's finally been out of the club long enough to see the light. And I mean, a determined James Harden, if he's still capable, yeah, it's hard to say he's not a top 5 player.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I wanted to ask if you had maybe one more overreaction because one I'm ready to
Um,
make is I'll let you think on it for a sec.
sure.
But one I'm ready to hop on is it's kind of a two-folded one. But holy cow, that Jazz Nuggets game was crazy. The I mean, you and I both we thought the Nuggets were going to win that pretty handily, and they come out and they give up 75 points in the first half to a Jazz team that is not terrible roster wise, but is also not good. They're a team that everyone thinks wants to tank. They might need to get worse in order to actually tank after that first game. But the Nuggets, which I thought is a team that was ready to come out and compete, they could not guard anybody. And the fact that they couldn't score with Colin Sexton is kind of scary.
Yeah, that was a very interesting game. I guess Jamal Murray coming back. maybe that team needs to get a little bit more time to find its footing with everybody together. I mean, there have been a few key players that have been hurt, but I mean, they're not going to be able to guard anybody. That's real apparent. So, you know, whether or not the Nuggets are as good as maybe we thought they would be, I think an underreaction would be to say that their defense is okay. I mean that they got they have holes like Swiss cheese. um, so I mean attack attack those overs on their games until they figure it out. I guess one more overreaction I would sort of like to point out would be maybe anybody thinking the Bulls are back to being in a real dangerous spot, or that they could be dangerous in the East. They beat the Heat away in their first game of the season, 116 to 108. Um, I mean, that's a good showing. DeMar scored over 30 points, but I mean, we talked about it not on the podcast, but elsewhere. The Heat got worse over the off season. Oladipo missed the first game, I believe. He's gonna miss tonight's game against the Celtics. So, they got a little bit thinner and even more thin to begin the season. So I think that's a reason why they got beat in their home opener. But I just don't think the Bulls are going to be able to stay competitive long enough. I mean, they had flashes last year where they were really good, but they always seemed to be that one playoff team that really didn't seem that they're going to go far in the playoffs. So, for anybody thinking that, the Bulls are right back in it, sorry for you Chicago fans. I really doubt that.
Yeah, I don't think that's the takeaway from that game from me was more so about the Heat than about the Bulls because the Bulls went down to Miami and beat the Heat without Lonzo Ball or Zach LaVine. Like I'm gonna wait a little bit to talk about kind of the Heat and how they relate to the Celtics tonight because we're gonna break that game down a little more in depth in a little bit. But I just think that game was more of an indictment of the Heat than like a positive for the Bulls. But the Bulls do have a decent squad. They've got a bunch of professional level players. They might not be able to swing with the big boys, but they should be a play-in team.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't want to knock them down, but I mean, they were a top four seed for a majority of last season, and even when they're on their win streaks, they were hardly winning convincingly. I mean, it was by like a possession or two every game. So they're narrow victories. Injuries do go into the Bulls without question, but I mean, I'm pretty sure Lonzo is still going to be out quite a bit, and who knows if Levine will ever have a fully healthy knee. So, I mean, there are just, I think, a few question marks that will not be answered for them anytime soon. But best of luck to them.
Yeah, totally. Best of luck to all teams out there except for the Knicks. You know,
Oh
that's
yeah,
one team. We already talked about this, but that's one team that I am. We're praying on their downfall. But I'd like to talk about real quick the Grizzlies Knicks game because the Knicks. I mean, RJ Barrett was terrible, horrendous, as is expected. I actually saw a, a not a spreadsheet, a table talking about which player was the worst at every shot last year. And RJ Barrett was the worst guy in the lane and the worst guy from corner three in the entire NBA last year. And he just continued that against the Grizzlies. Cam Reddish was an aberration. Have no idea what Thibodeau does with his rotation. He should probably play him more. His game is very suited to the transition, the heavy transition of the post take foul era. So I think they should keep rocking with Cam.
Yeah. Looking at the box score for that, I mean, yeah, it's very clear that RJ did not have a good game. What's interesting though, and I mean, it's this stat you kind of got to take with a grain of salt, but Cam Reddish was a -1 and it's plus minus. You know, I the Knicks made that a close game. I wasn't watching it close enough to really see what went on, but you know, I don't know. I'm not a believer in them, and I honestly I think they're going to lose tonight. They might get thwacked by the Pistons. Um, for me, teams going back home for a homestand or for just like one or two games, that very first game back at home, I don't ever feel like that has a huge like home court advantage for a team in the NBA. So, I mean, the Pistons were really good last season, especially towards the end on the road. They're catching 7 right now. I think that after making a close game 2 nights ago, the Knicks are really going to come out flat.
Couldn't agree more. I actually think there's a lot of value in that Pistons money line tonight at over plus 200.
I would agree.
All right. We're going to take a break here. Come right back with some preview of the Friday games, Saturday games, Sunday games, and Monday games. Back after a quick break. Once again, this is the Smokin Layups podcast. I'm your host, Joey O, here with my boy Jack. We're going to break down the Friday games for you now here on 10/21. Our first game is the early game, 7:30 Eastern. We have Heat hosting the Celtics. Celtics are 2-point road favorites. Jack, I'm going to let you kick us off here.
Yeah, I mean, huge Celtics fan. Being a Celtics fan, I know the Heat give them issues, but Heat are thin right now. Oladipo's hurt. Celtics looked just phenomenal in their first game. Looked like they hadn't lost a step on defense. Looked like Tatum honestly took a step up somehow on his offense. Brown looked really good. Brogdon looked really good. So, I mean, you compare lineups, one is healthier than the other, one's a little bit deeper than the other. And I mean, I think it's just that easy. Everything's sort of pointing to the Celtics. So I'm going to take them tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Celtics once again. And as you know, I love these small lines. Taking a team to win by 2 is basically a money line in the NBA. And I am so pumped about this Celtics team. They looked so good in game 1. I know I picked the Sixers, but boy was I wrong. And I'm man enough to admit that. And this
Well,
Celtics
the
team,
Sixers didn't play bad. The Celtics just played awesome.
exactly. I was doubting the Celtics because I think Rob's really important to them. I think Ime Doka was obviously very important to them. Didn't know how they were going to react to the first coach. Everything looked fine under Mazzulla game 1. And the Celtics
Yeah.
looked fantastic in transition. They're one of these teams, I keep talking about this, no take fouls. They're one of these teams that benefits so much by that. They have legit in their starting lineup, they've got 4 dudes that if you had a breakaway layup in, well, 3.5. I don't love Marcus Smart in this situation, but Brogdon, does Brogdon start for them or is it White that starts?
It's White, I think, at this point.
Okay, yeah, still White. Well, even that. They have between Jalen and Jason, if either one of them is not involved in the plan on defense and kind of get a little bit of a leak out, they're going to be a problem to stop in transition without being able to take those fouls. Jalen Brown, 1-on-1 with space, he's a bad dribbler. But if he doesn't need space and he can just shove you out of the way, it's a bucket every time. They both had 35 in game 1. I don't know how the Heat are going to be able to guard both of them tonight. The second game on Friday night, is the Nuggets at the Warriors. The Warriors are currently a 5-point favorite at home. I'll start us off on this one, and now this is like kind of two overreactions because the Warriors got to play the Lakers, which that 14-point win looks even more impressive now that after the Lakers they were hanging with the Clippers very late in that game, and I think the Clippers have quite a squad. And so that being said, and they didn't really play their starters the proper minutes because they're just so deep. That on top of the fact that the Jazz just beat this Nuggets team by 21 points. They gave up 75 points in the first half against a team that their highest overall in 2K might be like an 82 or 83. It is just a team devoid of talent compared to the Warriors team, which they're up there with the Celtics, the Clippers, the Sixers for just these teams that are saturated with talent. I love laying these 5 points, probably even some alt spreads. Go Dubs tonight, man.
Yeah. I'm trying not to complicate this. I think the Nuggets at the end of the season, maybe by the All-Star break, will be a true top 4, top 5 team in the West. Clearly, they are not there right now. Even if offensively they can hang around, defensively they won't be able to stop the Warriors. So Dubs at home. Nugs just got shocked on the road, I believe, the first game. So second road game to start the season. Yeah, I don't think it's going to get any better for them tonight. They might not lose by 23, but they're going to start the season 0-2.
I couldn't agree more. I'm not saying this is going to be a 20-point win, but I think that line might need to be more than 5 based on what we saw from both of those teams opening days. But Vegas doesn't overreact. We do. Hopefully, we can beat them there. All right, on to Saturday, 10:22. Our competing in college football, of course. But for real NBA sickos like myself, I'm probably gonna have basketball on regardless. So first game is Spurs at Sixers. I have not seen the line for this game yet, but I will find it real quick. But I'm gonna let you talk. Do your thing.
Okay. This one just breaks down real easily to me. Sixers played well game 1, got beat solidly by Celtics. They go home for their home opener game 2, fight back, make it real close, actually took the lead to win with 1 possession left. I forget who, no, it was Wesley Matthews. Yeah, Wesley Matthews hit the go-ahead 3 for the Bucks, I believe. And then they hold on. They win the game. So Sixers are 0-2. They haven't played badly. Now they get to play at home against maybe the worst team in the league. Yeah, give me whatever points they give out. Give me money line. 8 of the 7 days of the week. They're gonna take any frustrations they have, which maybe they don't have any, but they're 0-2, so they're going to be hyper-focused on a win, and they're going to get it.
So in the first week of the season, so far, there's only been one team to give up 30 points in all 4 quarters of a game. And that was this Spurs team at home against the Hornets without LaMelo Ball. Like James Harden, Embiid, those guys are gonna feast. Embiid, the best matchup the Spurs have for him is Jakob Poeltl.
Oh yeah, poor Jakob.
And then on defense, and then on the perimeter, the Spurs have nothing but young guys. And how many times have you just heard guarding James Harden or guarding Chris Paul, guys like this, really old, crafty guards who like just know every trick in the book. They can draw every foul. That's such a welcome to the league moment for these guys defensively. I think James is just going to come out and embarrass these guys, and he's going to drop another 30 piece. He's going to have 30 beans to open the season. And people are really going to start to have to look at him for maybe not MVP, but at the very least, like on one of the All NBA teams if he keeps playing like this. Second game, we've got Grizzlies, no JJJ, and Dylan Brooks is doubtful, at the Mavericks, who just blew a big lead on the road against the Suns. What are you thinking here, Jack?
This is going to be a really fun game. The Grizz are on the road tonight against Houston, so then they'll stay close and have a short trip to Dallas. As far as like the travel, that's not too bad for them, but man, give me Dallas. These are two really good teams. I'm not sure how far apart I can separate them in my mind right now. But yeah, Dallas blew that 20-point lead. They're going to their home opener, and Memphis at least has to sleep in some hotels overnight. So right now, I think I'm going to give the edge to Dallas, and I'm going to take them. I'm guessing it's going to probably be a 1.5 to 2 point spread. I would be shocked if it was favored towards Memphis. I really see a pick 'em though too, but it's probably going to be super close. And I mean, if I get any points for the Mavs, I'm taking it all day and night.
Great points. I also am leaning towards the Mavericks in this game. They have much better health situation right now than Memphis with Jaren Jackson out. And because of that, they also have a great big man rotation. I really like JaVale McGee and Christian Wood, and then Dorian Finney-Smith as a small ball five. Those are really fun guys to play next to Luka. And the Mavericks looked fantastic in the first half. They looked like just like they did in Game 7 against the Suns. Monty Williams must have chewed the Suns a new one in the locker room at halftime because they really turned it around. But that being said, I think Dallas is probably going to be like a 2 to 3 point favorite in this game because one, Memphis is on that back to back. Dallas is going to be super well rested, and Dallas blew that game, and but everything looked like they were going to blow them out. So I don't think they blow out the Grizzlies by any means, because the Grizzlies don't really get blown out. They've got that dog in them, as they say. But I just don't see this game going any other way than Dallas winning in the Big D.
Yeah, very quick, just to note, the Mavs right now are listed at -5 for that game. So I don't think it's going to go any shorter towards the Mavs' favor. I could see it honestly going to 6.5. Maybe that's a lot, but 6, definitely. So if you're on the Mavs like us, probably want to grab them now because the line most likely will only get bigger for the Grizz.
Wonderful point. Glad you found that line. 5 makes a lot of sense. They are the home team, so that's already in itself 1.5 to 2.5 points. And then Memphis is banged up and going to be coming off back to back. Everything's pointing to Dallas there. Okay, games competing with our Sunday NFL slate. First one is very similar to our early Saturday game. Not very good. We have Wizards at the Cavs. Cavs first home game. And I'm gonna let you start here because you love the Cavs.
Yeah, this should be a win for them. I'm not sure. I'll scroll through and see if they have a line out right now. They don't. So I'm not sure what they'll list this at. Not Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland actually, I think, got slightly hurt in their game against the Raptors. So I'm not sure if he's going to be playing. Hopefully he will be. But yeah, I don't, you know, the Wizards will they will be able to put points up. But they're going to give up a lot of points. They just beat the Pacers, I think, like 113 to 101 or something. 114 to 107. So they beat the Pacers 114 to 107. They're going to be able to score, but when the Cavs are fully healthy and they're playing their best basketball, they have pretty good defense. If Darius Garland is healthy, there's no way that the Wizards should be able to contain both of the guards, Darius and Donovan. Um, I I think Porzingis might have a pretty good game, but yeah, I'll probably be taking the over in it. Um, to me, I it's a Sunday, early Sunday game, isn't it? Yeah, that no, it's not early. It's at 7. So that'll be interesting. But I think there'll be points, and I think the Cavs will win that game.
Yeah, I really don't think this Wizards team is very good. They have Zinger and they've got Beal and they've got Kuzma. It's crazy that I'm considering Kuzma in that group, but I legitimately think he's their third best player.
Well, he
Um,
actually scored. I think he scored the most for them their first game. He might have taken the most shots on the team.
oh no, he's a gunner. I'm a fan of Kyle Kuzma, especially if you need someone to give you buckets in a Michael Beasley type situation, where you just have a combo forward who's coming in to score. He can shoot, he can drive, do everything, but he's gonna kind of be a liability on defense. Even without Darius Garland, even if they don't have him, I think I would go towards the Cavs here, definitely like as a winner. I'm you got to be worried about them covering in any situation where they don't have their main point guard, and a lot of, especially so early in the season, a lot of that responsibility will fall onto D Mitch, and you just don't know what kind of chemistry and like obviously no continuity, what kind of chemistry he has with the big guys and the other wings on the team. Sunday's final game is a late one. We've got Suns at the Clippers. So I guess I'll get started here. The Suns obviously had a fantastic comeback against the Mavericks, but the Clippers almost gave up a fantastic comeback against the Lakers. I think the Clippers will refine the form that they had in the first half of that game, and even when they were up 15 in the first half before they let LeBron eke back in. But I see the Clippers. This is their first game at home of the year. They want to be contenders on the year. If you want to be contenders, you got to beat last year's 1 seed. Every team's going to have the Suns circled on their calendar. And I just really don't think that the Suns, who are very guard based, have a good matchup against the Clippers, especially because even if John Wall is not the same guy he used to be, he's still so much bigger and stronger than a guy like Chris Paul. Same with Reggie Jackson. These dudes, they just got a lot better athletes in LA than they do in Phoenix right now. And that's how I see this game going.
Zubac is a pretty good center in my mind. I mean, he's not like an all-star. He's not about to be slamming over everybody or doing highlight moves every single game. But I think he's just enough to stand up to Ayton and not let Ayton just run wild. And then, they got D Book, but after that, I think it is a pretty big drop off for the Suns. They're just coached really well. They play good defense and they shoot the ball well. I mean, they're going to be a good team. I don't think they're as good as a 1 seed of last year, but yeah, I guess laying all that out in comparison, you got Kawhi, you got PG, you got Norman Powell, Reggie Jackson, and John Wall. Um, they just seem like they should win. So yeah, I'm with you. first home game. Let's take the Clips.
All right. So finally on to Monday for our last set of previews. The first game Monday is pretty fun. We've got Magic at Knicks. To me, this is an opportunity to grab that Magic money line. I really think the Magic are going to be a good squad this year. They've got a couple guys on injury. Like when Fultz gets back, they're going to be really something. But they've got Wendell Carter, who's good, great, not necessarily a great center, but he's definitely in the top 15 centers in the league. And then you got Paolo, first rookie since LeBron to have 25, 5 and 5 in his first game. You got Cole Anthony. You got a bunch of other athletic dudes. They had a really good competitive game against the Pistons. They ended up losing. But this just feels like a coming out party for Paolo. He's probably going to drop 30. He'll have an interesting matchup. He'll probably have Randall guarding him, and I think he's a much more fluid athlete than Randall, so I think that could be a problem. I'm a big fan of this Magic team this year, so give me the Magic.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on you. I do not whatsoever believe in the Knicks. Paolo looks like, I don't know, he's been running with NBA players for a few years now. I mean, he didn't look, I mean, he looked like he was overmatching other guys on the court. Really exciting to see him go out and do what he did. I think it's clear that he, you know, it's unfair to say this, I guess, because Chet is hurt, but even if he wasn't hurt, out of the big three that were taken this year, I mean, after last night, 2 nights ago, I mean, he just looked awesome. Um, so yeah, I'm with you. I think the Magic have a few other pretty good pieces. I've been a fan of Bol Bol. They're finally letting him play. I mean, he was hurt, and I guess they didn't necessarily have him all of last year. He was hurt some of last year, so I get his face hasn't necessarily been available to be on the court, but he's a real interesting player. Wagner is good. Jalen Suggs looked like he played well the first game. So I think catch whatever points you can and then tease them too and then take their money line because, yeah, they should give the Magic should definitely give the Knicks a headache. And I mean, they might just win outright. The best player on the floor might just be Paolo Banchero. I think it's not crazy to say that yet. And if that is the case, then yeah, I'm with the Magic all day.
Just wanted to touch on something real quick. You compared him to some of the other draft picks. I just wanted to say that Jabari had a great game against the Hawks. I believe he definitely had 17 points, but I think he also had 11 boards. And I think he's going to be a fantastic fit next to their franchise piece, Jalen Green. Our final game of this slate for Monday is Nuggets at Blazers. I'm going to let you kick us off here, Jack.
So my thoughts on this Denver Portland game, it's pretty simple. We've been, talking about how Denver has a pretty bad defense this whole time. That stays consistent. The Blazers have built themselves to score. So that's really the only thing they're going to be able to do. So at home, if you let this Blazers team stick around, then the Nuggets are looking at another pretty disappointing loss. But I mean, currently as they are, I don't really think you can consider that disappointing because I'm not sure if Denver is all that much better than Portland at this moment. They just might have a little bit deeper of a squad. But I mean, if they can't play defense, that doesn't really matter. So honestly, if there's a big spread, if they're disrespecting Portland a little bit, give me the points and give me the home team. What about you?
I think I have to lean Portland's way as well. They beat a team that I think is pretty good in the Kings. And everyone knows if they're within winning time, it's Dame time. And this Nuggets team, they don't have the defense. They can't play good enough defense to really keep a team down. So as long as the Blazers stay healthy, no one gets hurt during that game, I see that game being a ton of points. And I imagine you're Jokic getting put in a pick and roll on Dame. That's barbecue chicken right there. Like I know he's the reigning MVP and everything, but he's not their reigning defensive player of the year. You know what I mean? Like the Blazers are going to score a lot of points. The Nuggets will likely as well. I would probably lean towards the over, but I'm also like you, kind of regardless of what the spread works out to. I'm leaning Blazers to win and then likely to cover because I could see them being favored. That'll do our second episode here. Thanks for everyone to sticking through to the end and be ready next Tuesday for another episode. Check us out at Brendan Circus Sports on Instagram, YouTube, and BrendanCircusSports.com. Thank you very much.
Peace.
Smokin Layups podcast is a Brendan Circus Sports production. Check us out on Instagram at Brendan Circus Sports